Welcome to another episode of SG Crypto. I'm Simon Glavin, and in this video we're going to be talking about NFTs and smart contracts, which is the technology behind NFTs. A lot of people just think it's art, digital art, but it's not. There's way more to it than that. One thing I just want to say is that this is going to be strictly a video of me just talking directly to you. There are going to be no pop-ups or anything, so you could simply just let this video play in the background, or you can watch. Firstly, so there are many use cases when it comes to NFTs. I have my handy-dandy notebook here. You're going to love it. Yeah, some of the biggest things are, number one, gambling. So there are things like prediction markets. These are the things we're going to talk about. Gambling, real estate, assets, insurance. There are tons of, these are kind of the initial things I've been learning about now. And disclosure, I'm not an expert. I do not claim to be an expert on NFTs, but, from the little bit of research I have done, and, I come from, so I kind of started my crypto education in late 2020, more seriously towards the middle of 2021. I really started to take it very seriously. And so that definitely played a good part in me learning NFTs and getting a very good grasp on it and how it works. So me diving into NFTs, NFT education was not very far-fetched for me. So a lot of these ideas that I'm going to be talking about are, like the process behind them is pretty simple. And it just made sense to me just because I've done my research on Ethereum, Cardano, Polygon, things like that. So, a little bit of preface to what I'm going to be talking about. But I've done about 6 hours of NFT, like strictly NFT education and smart contracts, and it's fascinating. It's very fascinating. The use cases behind it, and it just is a clear. It just shows clearly that this is going to be playing a revolutionary part in the future, and it's the people that are adaptable that are going to thrive throughout this. And so yeah, firstly was gambling. This is actually, first of all, so there are several networks that offer smart contract development. Ethereum is the biggest one. It has very high gas fees, as we all know, which we assume will be fixed when Ethereum 2.0 comes out. But beyond that, you got Solana, Cardano, Cosmos, Avalanche, Elrond. There are honestly quite a few, and quite a few are actually built off of Ethereum, which is kind of funny. So, yeah. So let's get into smart contracts. So, like I said, they can be used for gambling, and this really comes to like prediction markets, is what they're called, prediction markets. So how that works is, let's say you want to bet on a horse race, you can bet on the outcome of those bets. So you can bet on the outcome of that horse race. So you can bet on the white horse, purple horse, blue horse, whatever. And with these smart contracts, this is how it works. There are actually already dApps, decentralized apps that offer this. And you can, or how they work is they have coded into them, they have different media outlets that would verify the outcome of that horse race, so that there needs no intermediary, no one to collect, and that diminishes fees, the fees that the intermediary would usually take. This completely decentralizes it, and so it's just peer-to-peer. You can bet with anyone you choose to, and this could also work. And yeah, so the media outlets will be coded into that horse race, and so once the horse race is over, the media outlet will signal to the smart contract that the white horse won. And so whoever is due the amount will then receive that, and it's involuntary. So it doesn't require you or the other guy on the other side of the contract to verify it in any way. It verifies itself, and so that just allows there to be trust in the contract. So beyond that, it could be used for things like presidential elections. As funny as that sounds, you could bet on the next president of the United States or of a different country. And really anything you can think of that involves, some sort of way that a media outlet could be coded into the contract and verified somehow, and requires no intermediary, just the smart contract. Secondly is, this is going to kind of go into insurance. So there is a thing called flight delay insurance, and this is kind of some people may have not heard of it. I personally, when it comes to flight delay insurance, I didn't know that was really a thing. And so the thing with flight delay insurance, it has become completely automated with smart contracts, in kind of the same sense as the prediction markets. So how it would work is it's completely decentralized. You can go in, or I should say automated, and you can go into an insurance platform, purchase your flight delay insurance, pay and do all that stuff directly with the smart contract. It requires no worker or no person for you to talk to. You can do it completely on your own. And so you can do it completely on your own. And how it would work is the flights would be, like the flight departure time and all that stuff would be coded into, and I'm not super familiar with how code works. All of this stuff makes me wish I was, just because you would have such an amazing understanding of how it works when you're talking about code, and you could just imagine it, how it would go. But yeah, so the media outlet for the flight, of whether it had any sort of delay or not, would be coded into that contract. So when the flight took place at the right time or not, the smart contract would be signaled to that and would either pay you out or just keep the money for itself. And so it's a lot of automation that is coming from these smart contracts all across the board. And kind of with insurance, like regular insurance, kind of like with car insurance, it does allow automation to a certain extent, but it still requires human involvement. And go through a quick example of that. So when it comes to car insurance, so the only thing that could be really automated is up to the point of you having to make a claim. So you can make the claim, but it will require after that some sort of human involvement as to verify the crash, verify how much it will cost, communicating with the other insurance company. And so it's not completely automated yet, but it does remove a lot of the upfront work, like finding a plan for you, purchasing the plan, paying for the plan, making the claim, all that stuff. With some companies, most insurance companies, involves some sort of communication with a human, whereas this will replace that, and it already has. I forget the company, but the Blockchain App Factory, that's a website. They have developed this for a vehicle insurance company in another country, and I can't even remember. I will leave the link to that and a link to a lot of resources I used for this in the description of this video. So yeah, all of this significantly reduces the amount of work to be done on the insurance part by the automation of insuring the person, taking payments, and making claims. And so it's going to save money. And this automation, it really frees up our time. Some people will think that, oh man, we're losing all these jobs. They think it's a bad thing. And what automation is doing, it's freeing us humans up to be creative. I think it's a beautiful thing, because using your creative abilities brings you a lot of happiness. I am happiest when I'm making videos, or when I'm just kind of brainstorming an idea, and that idea comes to fruition through something. It makes me happy using my creative mind. And I think that's what this NFT smart contract automation will do. It will bring a lot of happiness. And you can either choose to see the positive or the negative side of things. And I'm going to choose the positive. And it's just about being adaptable. People talk about all these vehicles, kind of like Tesla, talking about automated or self-driving semis, which will replace a huge amount of jobs with technology. And so those people will be out of work. And people talk about how that's such a bad thing, but it's like I don't see that coming to fruition for another 10 years, to where, maybe even longer, to where that is a complete thing, to where there are no more physical drivers, as far as that goes. And so you have another at least 10 years to adapt and move to a different industry that could pay you more money or make you happier. And so it's just silly to look at it that way. Like, oh, I'm just going to wait until they kick me out and then I'm going to bitch about it. Just stupid. Real estate or any other asset is something you can do with these NFT tokens. I do have a resource that I will link in the description on this. And so with the tokenization of real estate, the ownership can be divided into fractional shares on the blockchain represented as a digital asset or NFT. And the beautiful thing about that is these fractional shares, it could be divided into 10 different NFT shares of a complex, of a unit, or of, a complex, a residential complex, or could it be divided into 1,000? And the beauty behind that is if it was divided into 1,000 shares, which I'm sure you will see, it will allow the smaller investors, kind of like myself, not having a lot of capital, will allow me to deploy that into, having a thousandth of a share. It's going to cost a lot less than actually having to go out and purchase a complex. And so it's going to allow a lot more liquidity and capital into these markets, into these financial assets, which again, I think is a fantastic thing. Not only that, but and there's a lot of regulations that have to come with this, like security regulations for sure, in governments, between governments when you're purchasing. This is kind of what goes with my next point, which is it'll allow you to make investments across borders internationally. You could purchase the NFT for a 50 unit complex in Beijing, and again, that's going to require some regulation between governments as far as that will go. But it will unlock a lot of untapped, or not untapped, but it will unlock a lot of value for people. A lot of people that do not have a lot of money to deploy in certain assets or certain investments. So it is all a lot. It comes down to a lot of the perspective you have with things. And yeah, so regardless of where the tokenized, this kind of ties in with, there are several places that you can make these smart contracts. There is Stellar Lumens, that's XLM. You can use Ethereum, which is the biggest one. But yeah, I was basically just making the point that regardless of where the tokenized asset is built, there are regulations that need to happen, the security laws, a way of forming trust, which would involve dividends from the asset to be paid out to you. There's going to have to be some sort of trust that doesn't, you don't have to rely on that other person. You don't have to trust them. It's just going to be all coded into the contract. So everything is involuntary and everything happens without your say so or the person on the other side of the contract say so. Yeah, so that's real estate as far as I've dove into it. And this video is really just kind of a way to pique your interest in the subject, in the topic. I've already said it. This technology is revolutionary, and I just think it's something we need to pay attention to. And this video is not to explain in detail how you're going to code a contract on real estate, because as I already said, I have no idea the first thing about coding. And yeah, so it's not a how-to video. This is really just a video to pique your interest. And yeah, so so with stocks, actually, yeah, this is important. So with stocks, typically it requires an IPO for a company to be on the stock exchange. And those IPOs, which is an initial product offering, allows people to invest in their company before it does go public. And so these IPOing processes usually take between 2 to 8% in fees to happen. So let's say $10 million is required, or is $10 million is used to or is accumulated in this IPO process. That company that is involved in that IPO is going to get 2 to 8% of that. So on the low end, you're talking 2%. That's what, $200,000. So that's not a small amount of money. Whereas with NFTs, you could launch an NFT for that IPO, and your most loyal people, or I mean, no, not even loyal, people could still purchase that NFT. You could still accumulate that $10 million that's needed, and there would be no legal fees taken out. And so that's another beautiful thing. There requires no intermediary when it comes to IPOing a company. because you're involving peer-to-peer directly to those people that want to invest in your company. This kind of ties in with the music industry, so I'm going to move right into that. The music industry with record labels, they are typically taking about 80%, only 50% on a good day, but right around between that 50 and 80% of the artist's revenue that is generated. And these NFTs, and we're already seeing this happen. This does not require any more regulation because it's already happening. It will require regulations when you want to go down the road of giving, say I'm an artist, it's going to take some regulation on me giving you, if you were to purchase one of my NFTs, it's going to require some regulation on you getting a percentage of that revenue that I generate, because that's how I see this going. That has not happened yet, but Budweiser is launching, and no, they actually launched them today, NFTs. Budweiser launched NFTs around music artists. They launched it with Vayner NFT, which is Gary Vaynerchuk's NFT company. And yeah, so these NFTs, instead of a record label taking 80% of an artist's freaking hard-earned revenue, they are going to just launch an NFT, 10,000 NFT project. So 10,000 NFTs will be available to purchase, and that entire 10,000 NFTs will represent, as a whole, that 10,000 NFT, those 10,000 NFTs will represent 20% of that revenue. This is kind of talking in the future when this is all regulated. And then the artist now gets to keep that 80%, and their most loyal fans get to take 20% of the revenue for believing in them. And this will, you guys can probably think back to an artist that you loved that blew up, and then you're like, motherfucker, now they're huge. I was there when they first started, and now they're selling out, whatever. And this will now allow you to invest in them before they blow up and be a part of it. And so now, instead of getting, pissed off or whatever that they blew up, you'll be very excited about it. You'll want them to blow up and all that good stuff. And you should want them to blow up anyway, just kind of being a good person. But I totally understand that. Yeah, so those are just a few things. A lot of, if you've been following my channel, I like to keep my videos kind of short. This is running about 17 minutes right now, but this is kind of just a brief video I wanted to make just to kind of maybe pique your interest in NFTs as a whole, because there's so much to explore, and I still have more that you can do. But I like to keep my videos short, and I think that I've already kind of thrown a lot out there, so I'll probably leave it at that. If you guys have questions, or maybe found that I said something wrong in this video and you want to correct me, I would love that. I love to learn together. We learn better that way. And so, yeah, if you have questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comments section, or email me at sgcryptoedu@gmail.com. And I just want to say I appreciate all of you for supporting me. And yeah, so catch you in the next video. Later.